If so, keep watching and discover the facts you need to use this powerful and effective technique correctly and safely. Recently, intermittent fasting, IF, has skyrocketed in popularity to become the latest trend in the worlds of health, fitness, and weight loss. There are many reasons why this has happened. First, the spiraling explosion in obesity rates in America has created a sense of urgency to do something about it. According to recent reports, 70% of the U.S. population is overweight, and the rate of obesity among Americans has steadily climbed to an astonishing nearly 40%. Indeed, Americans are rapidly becoming a nation of giant, massive people. This fact illustrates the challenges many people encounter when following one of the broad range of diets: Atkins, Pritkin, Weight Watchers, Zone, South Beach, Ketogenic, Mediterranean, and countless other approaches. Undoubtedly, all of these diets have all helped some people lose pounds and fat, but none of them have proven to be sustainable long-term for the vast majority of folks who have obtained short-term beneficial results from following any of these approaches. It seems to be a vicious cycle. Gain weight quickly and effortlessly. Go on a diet and lose weight slowly and feel deprived, then gain the weight back all over again. Therefore, the logical conclusion is that consider the word diet. One of the dictionary definitions of diet is, quote, restrict oneself to small amounts or special kinds of food to lose weight, end quote. That doesn't sound like much fun, does it? And for some people, attempting to stay within the narrow, rigid limits of the latest diet is a permanent part of their life. More and more people are becoming fed up with being on this dietary merry-go-round to nowhere and have turned to a new eating pattern: intermittent fasting. Before we discuss what intermittent fasting is, the many additional benefits IF delivers in addition to weight loss, and review the recent research on the topic, an explanation of why IF works and what makes IF different from other diets is in order. To keep things simple, remember this: glucose, or sugar, is our body's go-to choice for energy. Glucose comes from the food we eat. Naturally, when we fast, there is no glucose for the body to draw upon for fuel. Therefore, the body begins to burn fat by switching fat cells into molecules named ketones, which serve as the body's source of fuel. This process means that the body uses stored fat as energy, a good thing. That's correct. When calories are slashed for extended periods, the body has no choice but to eat all tissues. Not merely fat, but muscle and organ tissue as well. This is not the outcome we desire for getting and staying healthy, losing weight, and maintaining a vigorous, robust appearance. This explains why long-term fasts are potentially dangerous. Fortunately, intermittent fasting can deliver benefits without near starvation deprivation. A recent University of Illinois at Chicago study concluded that restricting calories for 16 hours out of the 24-hour day, the 16-8 method, helped the subjects lose significant amounts of weight. The study consisted of 23 subjects, average age of 45, who were considered obese and with a body mass index, or BMI, of 35 or higher. Between the hours of 10 a.m. and 6 p.m., the participants could eat regularly. For the remaining 16 hours, they were restricted to either water or a calorie-free beverage. The study continued for 12 weeks. At the end of the study, the researchers concluded that the subjects lost weight by an average of 3% of their total weight and consumed approximately 350 calories less than usual. Quote, the take-home message from this study is that there are options for weight loss that do not include calorie counting or eliminating certain foods, end quote, said Krista Verity, Associate Professor of Kinesiology and Nutrition in the UIC College of Applied Health Sciences and corresponding author on the study. While this is the first study to look at the 16-8 diet, named for its 16 hours of fasting and its 8 hours of feasting, Verity says that the results concur with prior studies on other types of intermittent fasting diets. Quote, The results we saw in this study are similar to the results we've seen in other studies on alternate day fasting, another type of diet, end quote, Verity said. Quote, but one of the benefits of the 16-8 diet may be that it is easier for people to maintain. We observed that fewer participants dropped out of this study when compared to studies on other fasting diets, end quote. Verity added that, quote, these preliminary data offer promise for the use of time-restricted feeding as a weight loss technique in obese adults, but longer-term, large-scale, randomized, controlled trials are required. The 16-8 diet is another tool for weight loss that we now have preliminary scientific evidence to support. When it comes to weight loss, people need to find what works for them, because even small amounts of success can lead to improvements in metabolic health, end quote. Another study conducted at the same university looked at a variation of the 16-8 plan called the 5-2 produce. This plan consists of regular eating for 5 days of the week, and on the other 2 days, restricting food intake to around 500 calories. In the study, on the low-calorie days, the subjects ate one meal that followed American Heart Association guidelines, with 30% of calories coming from fat, 15% from protein, and 55% from carbohydrates. The idea was that this style of fasting would not cause the participants to feel like they were starving, which is a common problem with stricter, longer-term fasting and many popular diets that restrict food continually. At the conclusion of the 12-week study, the subjects averaged about a 1 pound loss per week, which is considered a healthy weight loss rate. A review published in the journal Obesity Science and Practice compared alternate day fasting to day in/day out, very low calorie diets, and found that alternate day fasting is more comfortable for some people to stick to. Plus, it often results in losing more fat and preserving more muscle. Because research studies typically include medical supervision, before you try such a regimen, talk to your healthcare provider to see if you're a good candidate for it, and if there are any steps you need to take unique to your situation. A third Canadian study concluded that IF could produce beneficial results in as little as 6 weeks. This encouraging news is according to a study by Kyung-Han Kim and Yoon-Hai Kim in the journal Cell Research. Intermittent fasting in mice helped to boost the animal's metabolism and to incinerate fat by creating body heat. The research team was led by Hoon Ki-sung of the Hospital for Sick Children in Ontario, Canada. The research team in this study wanted to better understand the effects that interventions such as fasting provoke at the molecular level in the body. They subjected groups of mice to 16 weeks of intermittent fasting. The animals were fed for 2 days, followed by 1 day of fasting. Their calorie intake remained the same. After 4 months, the mice in the fasting group weighed less than those in the control group, who ate the same amount of food. The reduced body weight of the mice in the fasting group was not the only effect. The fasting program helped lower fat buildup in the white fat by raising the brown-like fat, involved in burning energy and manufacturing body heat, of mice on the high-fat diet. Their glucose and insulin systems also stayed steady. In a further experiment, similar benefits were already seen after only 6 weeks of intermittent fasting. Quote, intermittent fasting without a reduction in calorie intake can be a preventative and therapeutic approach against obesity and metabolic disorders, end quote, says Kyung-Han Kim. Quote, strikingly, these fasting simulated changes in the growth of vascular cells and subsequent immune alterations occur even after a single cycle of 24-hour fasting and are completely reversed when mice start eating again, end quote, adds Yoon-Hai Kim.